Okay. So like I always mention, you have learned about all these financial statements. It's just that we are going a little bit deeper, yeah. In terms of structure, in terms of format, and the content of the statement. Yeah, maybe you learn it in a more simpler format previously. So now we're looking into a more complex and a more comprehensive format of the financial statements. Particularly for today is the statement of financial position and statement of cash flow. Yeah. Okay, in the past, we call statement of financial position as balance sheet. Yeah. But we have left using that term. Yeah, we don't longer use that term in the contemporary world. We always refer to statement of financial position or FFP. Yeah? Because statement of financial position is reflecting more of what the investors or users are looking into this financial statement. Yeah? Rather than balance sheet. Yeah? When you see the term balance sheet, it just indicates that the sheet is giving something balancing figures. Yeah? But statement financial position, it reflects the information that can indicate what is the financial position of the company. Yeah? So when we talk about financial position, users are interested in the assets, liabilities, and equities of the company. Yeah? At a specific date. Okay. That's why when you see statement of financial position, it will say as at. Yeah. For example, as at 31st December. Yeah. Because that indicates what is the final financial position of the company at the end. Yeah. At the end of the accounting period. Yeah. But if you see income statement, it will say for the period of. Yeah. Because income statement reflects the whole year's operation. Yeah. But financial position reflect the closing balances. Yeah. What's the current financial position of that company? Yeah. So it gives us the information of what the company has in terms of resources, what do they owe, yeah, apa aja utang mereka in terms of obligations, yeah, and how much the financing of the company in terms of the equity. Yeah? So basically, statement of financial position is the reflection of accounting equation. Yeah? Because you will see the summary of assets, liabilities, and equity at a particular date. Okay, and the users use the information in the financial position, statement of financial position, to basically predict or estimate the amounts and the timing and uncertainty of future cash flows. Yeah? Okay, there are so many benefits, yeah, or information that can be derived from the statement of financial position. Yeah? The users can compute the rate of returns, yeah, and assess the capital structure of the company, because they would see whether the company is heavily financed or derive their capital from the debt or from the equity. Yeah? Because asset equal to liabilities plus equity. Yeah? So the asset of the company, how much proportion is financed by the equity and how much is financed by the debt. Yeah? When you learn later on about the financial statement analysis, there will be so many tools or formulas to calculate the various ratios, yeah, or evaluation of company's financial position, that the information can be derived from statement of financial position. Yeah? As well as we can assess the risks and future cash flows of the company. Yeah? So investors are normally doing the financial statement analysis to identify the liquidity, solvency, and financial flexibility of the company. Liquidity, as the term implies, it refers to how liquid is the company in meeting its obligation. Yeah. When we talk about liquidity, we would see at the current asset. Yeah. Why people say cash is the most liquid asset? Yeah? Because you can use it immediately to pay the current obligations, yeah, or the current liabilities. Yeah. Meanwhile, the solvency refers to the long-term ability of the company to meet its long-term debts, yeah, or long-term liabilities. Yeah. And financial flexibility, how tight is or how flexible is the company's cash flow. Yeah. If they have so much debts to fulfill, then their financial flexibility is very limited. Yeah? They cannot use their cash flow to expand the production, for example, or purchase additional subsidiaries, for example. So the information in the statement of financial position will indicate how flexible is the financial condition of the company. Yeah? Normally, it's measured by the ratio, the ratio of free cash flow, we call it. You will learn about the details of those financial statement analysis tools when you take that subject. Okay, likewise, other financial statements like income statement of financial position also has some limitations. Yeah. What are limitations? Among others, because the information that we provide on the statement of financial position are based on historical costs. Yeah. For example, asset that was purchased last 5 years. Yeah? So it was recorded based on the price of the last 5 years. So those are historical costs. Yeah. If the company doesn't choose to use the fair value, then the information about the value of the assets or liabilities will be reflected based on historical costs, which can be a lack of usefulness for the users to understand the updated or the current financial position of the company. Yeah, because the information are all historical based. Yeah, and again, like income statement as well, preparing the statement of financial position involve certain judgments and estimates. Okay. The accountants are given the permission to use certain judgments and estimates to record the asset of the company or even the liabilities. Yeah? Especially when they choose to use the fair value. Yeah? Fair value measurement, as we discussed last week, may involve an extensive ways of estimates. Yeah? When certain assets cannot be from its current market value. Yeah? Okay. And also, many items of financial value are omitted. Okay? Because remember, the principle that we use is monetary. Anything that can be measured by monetary item, we will include it in financial statements. Yeah? What about certain items like the value of employees, yeah? Human resource assets that we cannot certainly measure in financial terms, yeah? Which we often omit those assets in our statement of financial position. Yeah? So why do we discuss this limitation? Is to provide the caution, yeah? Supaya we as users of financial statement always put that into our mind when we read the financial statement. Yeah? So financial statement is not absolute. Angka-angka yang diberikan bukanlah sesuatu yang mutlak ya. Ada kekurangan di balik laporan keuangan yang kadang-kadang seperti ada item yang tidak ditunjukkan ya, seperti nilai staffnya or brand, maybe sometimes they don't measure the brand value, other things ya. Okay, you're very aware of this, the elements of financial statement, assets, liabilities, and equity, right? You know what assets are? Is the resources which result from past event, which will bring the cash inflow to the company. And liability is the opposite, yeah? Is obligation towards the outsiders or external parties, which results from past events, and it will cause the company to have a cash outflow, yeah, to the outsiders. And equity is the residual interest. We always define equity as the residual interest in the assets of the company, because like I always mention that whenever there is a bankruptcy or the closing down of the company, equity will be the last party to receive a share in the asset. Yeah? So assets will be distributed first to the creditors. Yeah? Only after that, if there is any balance, it will be given to the equity holders. Yeah? That's why it is called residual interest in the assets. Okay, actually, according to IFRS doesn't specify which item to report first on the statement of financial position. Yeah, let's say the structure of current asset or non-current asset. Yeah, which item to put first. But there is a common practice among the companies. Yeah. When they structure their assets on the statement of financial position, they will present the current asset first rather than the non-current asset. Yeah. Actually, there is no requirement. Yeah, which one to put first. Yeah? Okay. Okay. Let's see what consists of non-current asset. In the past, it is called long-term assets or fixed assets. Yeah, be aware of those terms. Yeah? So it normally consists of long-term investments, PPE, property, plant and equipment, intangible assets, and other long-term assets. Yeah? When we call non-current assets, it's normally the use of such asset will be longer than 1 year. Yeah. Or the maturity date for the investment is longer than 1 year, yeah, to be classified as non-current asset. Okay, long-term investment, it could be investment in securities. Yeah, I highlighted, I think, briefly in the last meeting about investment in securities, for example, in obligation, in the shares, or in long-term notes. And also long-term investment in tangible asset. Yeah? For example, in property, yeah? In land. Yeah? The company buys the land for the purpose of reselling it. Yeah? They wait for the price to appreciate, then they would sell. So that will be included in the long-term investment. Yeah? Bonds is equal to obligation. The other term for bonds is debentures. Have you heard of that? Yeah. So the company may buy the bonds issued by other companies or by the government. Yeah. Or they can also invest in the shares of other companies. Yeah. Or long-term notes. Okay. So there is also another component of long-term investment, which is special funds, yeah? Like sinking fund. Sinking fund is like an allocation put by the company to fulfill certain purpose, yeah, in the future. For example, there is an obligation that they want to settle in the future, yeah, they would allocate that in the sinking fund, yeah. Pension fund also is an allocation of fund for the purpose of paying the pension, or plan expansion fund, yeah. So the company allocates certain amount of fund for the purpose of expansion of their factory, yeah, for example. Okay, that also will be included in the long-term investment. And also non-consolidated subsidiaries or associated companies. This is basically when we buy the shares of other companies, but we are not the majority shareholders of that company. Yeah, so we cannot consolidate. Yeah? If we are the majority shareholder, we will consolidate or combine the financial statement of subsidiary and our company. Yeah, so that non-consolidated subsidiary will be included in the long-term investment. Yeah. Just stop me whenever you feel confused about something. Okay, investment in debt and equity securities. I mentioned about investment in securities. Classification by IFRS is there are three: held for collection, trading, and non-trading equity. Yeah. So different types of investment in securities will have different way of valuation and classification. Okay. For example, for held for collection investment in securities, if it is debt, it will be valued at amortized cost. Ya, amortized cost ini dia pakai effective interest rate to calculate the present value of the investment amount. Yeah. And classification, it will be, it depends on the maturity date. It can be current or non-current. Yeah. Held for collection, I think I mentioned in the last meeting, it means the investment that we are waiting to redeem until the maturity date. Okay. Faham? I keep on talking. Do you get my point? Okay. Yes. Okay, if it is a trading investment in securities, yeah, it can be debt or equity. Remember what is trading investment, trading investment? I have explained this in the last meeting. What is trading? Yang biasa, anyone is involved in gallery investasi? You are trading your shares?
Yes, Miss.
Fira? Fira, you have shares already? You bought the shares?
Yes, Miss.
Okay. So trading investment is the investment in debt or equity that are meant for the purpose of trading, yeah, daily transaction, yeah. So the company are speculating, yeah, whenever the price goes up, they would immediately sell it, yeah, and they would buy again whenever the price seems to be low, yeah. So when it is a trading investment, the valuation will be using the fair value, okay. Why we use fair value? Because it keeps on transacted, terus-menerus ditransaksikan, and the price is available. The market value is available. So IFRS urge to use the fair value measurement. Yeah? And trading investment is classified as current, yeah, because it is for continuous trading activities. Yeah? So it is current. Okay, non-trading equity, for the equity investment, valuation, it will be fair value as well. And it can be current or non-current, yeah, depending on the maturity date of the company, the investment itself. Yeah. Okay, for example, the display of statement of financial position have non-current asset. Normally, they would start with long-term investments, yeah, investment in held for collection securities, land held for future development, and then property, plant, and equipment, which may include the land, buildings, yeah, net of the accumulated depreciation, etc. Yeah. Okay, property, plant, and equipment, or PPE, are tangible. Yeah? Tangible means it is in existence. It can be seen, it can be touched. Yeah? It is appearing. Yeah? That is used in the regular operations of the business. What about the asset that we don't use in regular operation of the business? Where do we include that? Just a checking question. Anyone? We say that property, plant, and equipment are tangible, long-lived assets that are used in the regular operation. For example, we have the land that we don't use for regular operations, or we have the buildings that are not used for regular operations. Where do we include that? We just mentioned just now. Anyone?
In asset, you mean, Miss, or what?
Yeah, we include that in long-term investment. Remember just now, land held for future development. Jadi kalau aset jangka panjang yang tidak kita pakai dalam kegiatan operasional akan masuk ke dalam long-term investment. For example, land, buildings, yang memang dibeli bukan untuk dipakai, untuk dijual mungkin, menunggu harga naik. Okay, so when we say tangible, it must be physical. It can be seen, such as land, building, machineries, furniture, other long-term assets. Okay, now we discuss a little bit about intangible asset, even though there will be a specific topic about intangible asset later on. We did intermediate accounting also. Okay, intangible asset is opposite of tangible asset. It doesn't have any physical substance, but it is not financial instrument. Even though you may say that investment in securities, it doesn't have physical substance, but we don't include that as an intangible assets. So intangible assets for those that do not have physical substance, but as well not the financial instruments. It may include the trademarks, franchise, copyrights, customers list, patents, and goodwill. Goodwill is the difference between the price that we pay and the fair value of the company that we are purchasing. So goodwill only recorded whenever there is a transaction of business combination. Ada merger, there is a merger between two companies, only will record goodwill. There is no any internally created goodwill. Okay, the rule for intangible asset, we amortize limited life intangible asset over their useful life. Okay, normally the patent is limited life intangible asset. Because when the company registered the patent to the government institution which handle the registration of patents, it will be applicable, for example, for 10 years, or for certain years. So that would be the useful life of such intangible asset. But goodwill is normally regarded as indefinite life intangible asset, or unlimited life intangible asset, as well as trademarks. Patent, copyright, franchise are limited life intangible assets. Okay, the unlimited life intangible asset, we don't amortize over useful life because they don't have specific useful life in terms of years, but we assess the impairment. Impairment is indication of the decrease in the value of such asset. Jadi penurunan nilai. So the company has to evaluate whether a certain intangible asset has impaired, ya, sudah menurun nilainya. Ya. The impairment can be caused by external factors like economic conditions, okay, inflation, etc. Or there is, let's say, pattern. Yeah? If there is a new pattern from other company, then it will be affecting the value of our pattern. Yeah? So that will cause the impairment of our intangible asset. Okay. Okay. Normally, intangible assets are disclosed as one single item on the statement of financial position. This is just for example for your understanding. They detail the intangible asset, capitalized development cost, other identifiable intangible asset. Except goodwill. Goodwill they present it differently. Yeah? Please check your financial statements of the companies that you have selected. Yeah, how do they present their intangible assets? Okay. Okay. Other assets depends on the company's nature of the operation. Yeah. It may be long-term prepaid expenses, non-current receivables. Yeah. Asset in special fund, property held for sale. Yeah, it could be various types of other assets. Yeah, restricted cash or securities. When they say restricted cash, means certain amount of cash being already allocated for certain purposes. Yeah, so that amount of cash has to be out from the normal cash amount. Yeah, kalau cashnya kita tampilkan di current asset as a cash, this restricted cash has to be separately disclosed in other assets. Yeah. Okay, now we move to current assets. Yeah. I think you understand this well. Current assets are the assets that can be easily converted into cash, yeah, or consumed within 1 year, yeah, or operating cycle, whichever is longer. Yeah? For example, inventories, prepaid expenses, receivable, short-term investment, cash, and cash equivalents. Yeah? Okay, IFRS requires inventories to be valued at lower of cost or net realizable value, and prepaid expenses at cost, receivables at estimated amount collectible, short-term investment, fair value, cash and cash equivalents is fair value. What example of cash equivalent again, just to check your understanding so far? What's the example of cash equivalents? Anyone?
A bank account, Miss.
Bank account. More specifically, bank account is included in cash.
Petty cash, Miss.
Petty cash is in the cash.
Deposit, Miss?
Yes, deposit, like fixed deposit. Fixed deposit is equivalent to cash equivalents. Yeah. Okay, now inventories, very quick. Lower of cost or net realizable value. What does it mean by lower of cost or net realizable value? In the case where there is an indication that the value of inventories has declined, yeah, then the company needs to compare between the cost and the net realizable value. The actual value of that inventory, yeah, that what I can define of net realizable value. Berapa bisa dijual? Berapa harga sebenarnya at the current moment? Yeah? That is the net realizable value. Yeah? Even though, for example, our inventory cost is 1 million, but due to the current pandemic, yeah, it cannot be sold anymore at that cost. Yeah? So we estimate the net realizable value is 800,000, for example. Yeah. So the valuation of that inventory needs to be revalued. Yeah. We choose the lower of between the two. So the cost just now 1 million. The net realizable value is 800,000. So it needs to be revalued at 800,000. Ya, jadi dipilih yang mana yang lebih rendah. Ya. Okay, cost flow assumption. FIFO average. Remember, IFRS doesn't allow the use of LIFO, the last in first out. So only first in first out or average cost method. Yeah.
Miss, I want to ask something.
Mm-hmm.
What is the difference between net realizable value and gross profit, Miss?
Oh, gross profit is the sales minus cost of goods. So, yeah, that is gross profit. The net realizable value is the cost of goods sold, but we have to consider additional factors, yeah, to determine the cost of that inventory. So when net realizable value, we want to find the new cost of that inventory. For example, Fira, your original cost of the inventory, who asked this now, Fira, I assume. For example, the cost of your inventory was 1 million, yeah, but you need additional cost due to the current condition to repack that inventory, yeah. So you have to consider the additional cost that incurred to the inventory. For example, you need additional 200,000 to repack, to further beautify the inventory. So your new cost of the inventory will be 1,200,000. So that is the net realizable value. Yeah. Understood me? It's not
So
the gross, yeah, NRV is not the gross profit, yeah. It's just identifying the actual cost, the current actual cost of the inventory. Because we cannot record based on the historical cost anymore due to the consideration that there are certain factors affecting the cost of the inventory. Yeah, so it's not the gross profit.
Okay, Miss, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so current asset, yeah. Again, IFRS doesn't require whether to put inventory first or cash first, yeah. But normally the companies will structure based on the liquidity, yeah. Normally they would put cash and equivalent first, and after that only inventory or account receivable, yeah. So it's not surprising when you see different way of structuring the items under the current asset. Ya. Ya. Jadi tidak ada specific rules how to put in the sequence these items. Ya. Remember again that IFRS is a principle-based accounting standard. Ya. When we say principle-based, they don't provide a detailed rules. Yeah. But they just give the principles, yeah. As compared to US GAAP, which are mostly regarded as a rule-based accounting standard because they provide a detailed rules, yeah, where to put, how to put. Yeah. For IFRS, is a principle-based, so it is the judgment of the accountants how they want to disclose in details about their financial statements. Yeah. Okay, I need to run fast. Receivables. There must be categories of receivables. Yeah. On a statement of financial position. And the company also need to explain in the notes, yeah, if there is any anticipated loss due to uncollectibles. Normally they would provide the allowance for uncollectible debt. Yeah? For any non-trade receivables, yeah, for example, not receivable that coming from non-trading activities, yeah, maybe from the employees, from the subsidiary, yeah, or others. Or if receivables are used as collateral, yeah, it's very common in the business world. The company use the receivable as collateral to get the loan from the bank, yeah. So the company need to disclose if it used the receivable as a jaminan or collateral to get the loan from the bank. Yeah. So here it's account receivable needs to be subtracted from allowance for doubtful account or allowance for uncollectible accounts. Yeah. Okay, prepaid expenses. Any issue? It's very familiar to you, right? It's expenses that we paid in advance that we haven't used it. Yeah. So we regard that as our asset. Yeah. Falls under current assets. Yeah. Because while we record prepaid expenses, we follow the accrual-based accounting. Yeah. We don't follow the cash basis accounting. Yeah. We record expense whenever we use it, not whenever we pay it. Yeah. That's why if we have paid in advance, then it's not included yet as an expense. Then it has to be recorded as a prepayment. Yeah, normally insurance, the company pays for 1 year full. Yeah, so they have to do the adjusting entries at the end of the year. Yeah, when they pay at the beginning, they will record as prepaid insurance and credit cash. Right. Same for supplies, pricing, etc. Okay. Short-term investment classifications very similar to long-term investment in securities. I won't go through again. Cash. Any particular thing that you want to ask about the cash? So cash equivalents, short-term, highly liquid investment that mature within 3 months or less. Yeah, for example, the fixed deposit. They are maturity within 3 months. Yeah, and the company has to disclose any restriction. For example, I mentioned just now, certain cash are allocated to pay the bonus in the next year. So that one will be included as restricted cash. Yeah. Equity section is share capital. Share capital is the par value of the shares issued. Yeah. It could include from ordinary shares and preference shares. Yeah. And we have share premium. Share premium is the excess of the amounts paid in over the par value or stated value. Yeah. For example, the par value of the shares is $1, but the shares were sold at $5, so $4 will be part of the share premium. Yeah, $1 will be in the account of share capital. Yeah, retained earning, the company's earning that has not been distributed in form of dividend. Yeah, accumulated other comprehensive income. Yeah, remember other comprehensive income coming from unrealized gain or loss on securities that are measured based on fair value. Yeah? Treasury shares is the amount of shares that are purchased back by the companies. Okay. Okay. For example, the company at the beginning of the year they issue 100,000 shares. Yeah. And then at the middle of the year, they buy back 10,000 shares, for example, yeah, from the shareholders. Yeah. So that bought back shares, yeah, the shares that have been bought back by the company are called as treasury shares. Yeah. You will learn in detail later on. Non-controlling interest is the minority interest. Yeah. Okay, so this is the typical structure of the equity on the statement of financial position. Wow, we have so many items to go through, right? We just go through quickly because you are familiar already. Non-current liabilities. Yeah. Any liability that is longer of 1 year, yeah, or the normal operating cycle. Yeah? And that liability may come from ordinary operation, or it may not come from ordinary operation. Yeah? For example, financing purposes, the companies get the loan from the bank or other parties. Yeah, so that will be included in the non-current liabilities. My son is crying already. Okay, current liabilities is within 1 year, yeah, or normal operating cycle, whichever is longer, yeah. But normal operating cycle is also 1 year, normally, yeah. Account payables, yeah, or collection received in advance for delivery unearned revenue, yeah. We have provided the services, or we have delivered the goods, yeah, in advance, yeah. Oh no, I mean the customer have paid in advance, but we haven't delivered the good or services, yeah. That one will be included in the current liabilities, yeah. This is opposite of prepaid expenses. Okay, I mentioned does not specify the order of the format of the items in the statement. Yeah, like what you have learned previously, it can be in the account form. Account form is horizontal form. Yeah, asset, liabilities, and equities. Or in the report form. Yeah, report form is the vertical format. Yeah, this is report form. Yeah, we call it in the past as vertical format. Yeah. Structured from asset until equities and liabilities. Ya. Account kalian tahu kan? Dalam bentuk akun, ya, kanan dan kiri. Ya. Okay, statement of cash flow. Basically, to provide information about the cash receipt and cash payments of the company during the period, how the changes, yeah, in terms of the cash transaction of the company. Yeah? So it will answer us where the cash come from, where it has gone, yeah, where it has been paid, yeah, and then any specific activity that contribute the most to the cash, yeah? How the cash balance has changed from the beginning until the ending balance. Yeah? So statement of cash flow, we divided into 3 activities. You have done this statement of cash flow, right, in pengantar? Can anyone confirm to me? Udah?
Yes, Miss. Udah.
Yeah, so operating, investing, and financing. Yeah, so operating basically the cash that coming from the main operational activities of the company. Investing is from long-term investment, long-term asset, yeah? Whether purchase or a selling of long-term investment or long-term asset. Yeah? Financing, anything related to the financing of the company, for example, issuance of the shares or paying back the debt, yeah, etc. Yeah? Yes, so there is an inflow and outflow for each section of the company. Yeah? And if you have learned also to prepare the statement of cash flow, you have 2 methods, indirect and direct method. Yeah. Normally, the company use the indirect method. Yeah? Indirect method, we start from the net income that can be derived from the income statement. And then we compare statement of financial position, whether there is increase or decrease in the current asset. Yeah? For example, in this exercise, yeah, if you see the account receivable, beginning of the year 0, at the end of the year, it has 41,000, means there is an increase of account receivable. Yeah. In my rationale, yeah, for my personal understanding on how to do the statement of cash flow, If there is an increase in current asset, for example, the account receivable, means the company doesn't collect the cash, additional cash. Yeah? That's why there is increase in current asset, we would deduct it from the net income. Yeah. Opposite from the current liability, for example, account payable. Yeah? As the beginning of the year is 0, the end of the year is 12,000, means there is an increase in current liability. If there is an increase in current liability of account payable, means we are not paying. So there is no cash being out. Yeah, that's why it is added. Okay. I'll go directly to, okay, see? So we start from the net income, yeah, and then adjustment to reconcile the net income. So increase in current asset, for example, account receivable will deduct it, ya. Karena kita tidak menerima artinya, ya, kalau ada kenaikan account receivable, ya. And oppositely, account payable, if there is an increase, meaning we are not paying anything, ya. So there is no any cash outflow. That's why we add it. Yang tadi kita kurangin karena kita tidak terima. There is no cash inflow. You got my, that is just my simplistic rationale when I do the statement of cash flow. But if it is hard for you to rationalize, then you can memorize it. Okay, where to add, where to deduct. Yeah? Okay. Okay, if there is a decrease in account receivable, means we receive money being paid by the customers. You get my point? For example, beginning of the year was 80,000, and at the end of the year 41,000. Ada pengurangan, ya, penurunan di account receivable. Means we are receiving money and we will add it. Yeah. That's why it is here. If there is an increase, we add. If there is a decrease, if there is an increase, we deduct it for current asset. If there is a decrease, we add it. Yeah. Okay, I won't go into details anymore. You've done this before. Yeah. And for investing, just to refresh again, the memory is for any transaction involving the cash inflow or outflow for long-term investment. For example, the land, buildings, or machineries. Yeah. And for financing, any cash inflow or cash outflow related to the financing activities of the company. For example, issuance of the bonds, issuance of ordinary shares, payments of dividends, etc. Okay, try to do the example in these slides. Okay, and I will give some exercises later on. Okay, for you to prepare also for your midterm. Okay. Okay, a little bit on preparation of statement of cash flow. There are activities, there are non-cash activities that needs to be included or disclosed in a separate note. Yeah. For example, issuance of ordinary shares to purchase asset. Yeah. So issuance of ordinary shares, we don't get the cash in this context, but we get the asset. Yeah. So asset for asset is exchange activities. So it doesn't involve any cash. Yeah. But it needs to be disclosed separately in a note. Yeah. Conversion of bonds into ordinary shares. Yeah. We call it as convertible bonds. Yeah. Certain obligation or bonds can be converted into the ordinary shares. Ya. Tidak ada melibatkan kas, ya, tapi it has to be disclosed separately. Okay. Okay, always remember that cash is the main weapon of the company to survive. Yeah, without the cash, they cannot do anything. No matter how high the profit is, the net income is, without the cash, the company cannot operate. Yeah. So it's very important for the users in identifying whether the company's cash flow is promising, yeah? Whether they have sufficient cash flow to operationalize the activities. Yeah, and there are certain ratios to measure the ability of the cash flow of the company. Yeah, for example, this free cash flow. Yeah, which shows how much excess of the cash that the company has for the purposes, for example, expanding the operation, etc. Okay. I know it's quite a lot, and I have to do it quite quickly, but I hope you grab as much as possible. I really need you to independently study hard, yeah? Beyond what we get from the classes. Yeah, yeah.
Miss, I
Yes,
want to ask about this. May I?
yes, of course, sure.
You said before about long-term investment
Mm-hmm.
and about the depreciation of this long-term investment, like the building or the land. Kan sometimes kayak tiba-tiba tanah pada suatu daerah itu kan lagi naik tinggi. Nah, itu depresiasi untuk tanah long-term investment itu how?
Okay, land is normally not depreciated. Land is exceptional. Jarang sekali, ya, walaupun ada hampir cuman 2 kasus yang tanah itu didepresiasi. It's normally appreciated. That's why we don't depreciate the land. Only the buildings and other long-term assets are depreciated, like machineries, furniture. Because it's surely the land always increase in its value. Except, of course, there is exception. Certain land which is haunted. Ada kasusnya. It could. There could be possibly that such land could depreciate. And the company has to disclose why they depreciate the land. There must be a reason for that. Does it answer your question, Nesta?
Yes, Miss.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Any other question? Understand all? I think I did say in the beginning of this subject, intermediate is a heavy subject, even for myself. When I want to teach you, I have to read again. Okay, so position yourself that you have to put so much effort to understand the subject well. You cannot only depend on what I deliver to you during the lecture. You have to study independently. Otherwise, it would be difficult for your advanced subject later on. So those principles, assumptions, udah ada dalam kepala tuh. Kenapa prepaid expenses, accrual, jangan lagi bingung ketika orang bilang accrual, cash basis, And jangan lagi bingung kalau orang tanya aset itu bisa dilihat di mana, langsung ke statement of financial position. Jangan lagi bingung antara income statement atau statement of cash flow. Where do we get income from operation? You have to be able to direct immediately to which financial statement can be gotten that information. Jadi udah ada bayangan tentang struktur financial statement dan prinsip-prinsip teori yang menyebabkan kita harus melakukan pencatatan yang sedemikian rupa. Okay? Okay, guys. So far so good. We'll have midterm on Wednesday,
Yes, yes.
Yes. At 2 p.m. I'll share with you the Zoom link later on. I wish you all the best. We'll give you some exercises, not for the purpose of punishing you, but for the purpose of pushing you to understand and learn again. Okay? You want to do it in group or you want to do it individually? Individually lah, Okay? Okay, if there is no more question or comment, we'll end here. I'm thanking you for the participation during the class. Okay. I'll see you on the midterm. I apologize for any shortcomings or mistakes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
wabarakatuh.
wabarakatuh.